Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger shot like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustle and dreams in every loop. In the park he starts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
All right, time now for Coffee with Frankie. It's Sunday, June the 8th, 2025, and it is quiet time in the NFL. Not a lot going on. But this is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay in the chat. We got JoJo ready for some Frankie facts. We got Phil Adams from across the pond. All power to Frankie and Frank Fan Nation. Yes, FSPN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. Let me know if you can hear me okay, Phil, and let me know if you can hear the bell as well. We need to know that also. As we get started here on Sunday, not a ton going on around the NFL, but there are some storylines. There are some things happening. Audio 95%. What the hell does that mean, Phil? Looks okay on my end, so visual 100%, bell 100%. All right. Well, we'll just have to get by with what we can. The big news, I guess, for the NFL is Aaron Rodgers signing on with your Pittsburgh Steelers. Might seem like not really a match made in heaven. I've been getting text messages from my friends in Pittsburgh. Those who don't know, I lived in Pittsburgh for 6+ years and know lots of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And basically what they're saying is that they would like to enter the fan transfer portal. They want to enter the fan transfer portal. They're not happy about getting Aaron Rodgers. They think it's going to be a lot of drama and he's not going to be very good. So you might be wondering why did he sign there? It didn't seem like a fit. It seemed like he wanted to go to the Rams a lot more with Devontae and McVay. And then if not them, then maybe the Vikings with KOC and Justin Jefferson and all of those people. But he wound up with the Steelers. And it's not really a fit because Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator there. They do have DK Metcalf, but as good of a wide receiver as he is, he's not a good route runner, and that's what Rodgers really likes. So why is he doing it? You might ask yourself. Slightly tinny on sound, no worries though. Slightly tinny. Well, I guess we'll just have to make do with these headphones for now. But you might want to know why it is that Rodgers decided to play at all. I mean, what's the point? Well, I think this is the point right here. He probably wants to jump up in these leaderboards. If you look at the yards, career yards, if you look at this, he's got a chance to leapfrog Phillip Rivers this year pretty easily, and then also probably Ben Roethlisberger. Now, he's not going to be able to get up to Favre, but he could basically become, number 5 all time in passing. Probably wants to be sitting right there. And then when you look at this, he's already 5th in touchdowns, career touchdowns, 503. But look who's right ahead of him on the all-time list. Look at that. Look at that. He only 5 more. He needs 5 more to tie, 6 to go ahead of old buddy Brett Favre. So I think Rodgers really coming back for his own personal records. It doesn't make much sense otherwise. They don't have the type of receivers he likes. They don't have the offensive system and coordinator that he prefers. So why not give it one more try, throw a few touchdowns, put up some yards, see what happens. Maybe they can win a few games with their defense. But I really think he wants to pass this one especially. I mean, he's only 5 behind. He could be 4th. Now, if he has a really good year, he could challenge the Sheriff, 539. But, 37 touchdowns for Rodgers at this point, pretty unlikely. But he's certainly going to throw 6, right? So that way he could pass Brett Favre, go into 4th place all time with that. So I think that's really the motivation here. They were the one team that really wanted him. Let me go back, put up some personal records, see what's going on, and do that. So Aaron Rodgers hasn't been good since 2021, but he's certainly going to throw at least 6 touchdown passes. So he'll certainly be moving on up on the old leaderboard for the career and passing Brett Favre as far as touchdowns are concerned. And I think we now know that he also, we also now know, I believe, that he got married. Not that that's very important from a football standpoint, but here's a picture signing with the Steelers over there on the south side. And he's got a ring on the left ring finger. So you would think, all right, this is a married man now. So I guess one of the things he did this offseason is get hitched. We don't have any reporting on it, except Dennis Wazak from the AP says, and what's that on his left ring finger? I don't know. Maybe somebody could ask him about it. If, like somebody from the AP who's an AP, who's a reporter. Maybe you could ask the question, Dennis. I don't know. What do I know? So that's what's going on. Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 1, we got to face them. So there you go. Joe Mike is here, says, Rodgers and his circus is Pittsburgh's problem now. Yeah, absolutely. And, if they don't make the playoffs, I do think Tomlin's going to get fired. At some point, I think the fans are going to be fed up with this 9-8, 10-win season, whatever it may be. We're not bad, but we're also not a Super Bowl contender. At some point, they probably got to make a change there, and so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Jojo says, I expect him to do well with Pittsburgh. It's a well-run organization. Yeah, generally speaking. I mean, they are. But when you're talking about Rodgers, you got to talk about what system are they going to run? What players do they have? And how good is he going to be? And so we'll see. I mean, he could. He could. BC Salami's here from Asia. He doesn't want to go out with the bad season like he lived through the last 2 years. He's a proud guy. Yeah, of course he does. I mean, of course, every player wants to play well, PC. There's no surprise. Yes, every player would like to play well. It doesn't want to play poorly. But I don't know. Maybe they'll be able to make it work there. We'll have to see what they come up with. It'll be very interesting to watch. So we'll see. Joe Mike, what are the odds? No, I would say no. I'm not trading. Why would I trade him for a 6th-round pick? No. I say, Pittsburgh, you really want this guy? Okay, 3rd-round pick. 3rd-round pick. Hey, you don't want to do it? You're going to give me a 6? Nah, we'll keep him. Why? Because he can block. No block, no rock. One thing he can do on the field is block people. We're going to need blocking. He's our 3rd wide receiver currently. And so why are we just going to give him away for a 6th-round pick? If they want to make our day, 3rd-round pick, all right, we'll reluctantly give him up. But we'd like to use him as a blocker, at least. Why not? Only cost us $2 million this year. Reduced his salary. Why are we just going to give away Rodgers' buddy? Hey, look, you want to make Rodgers happy? Give us a 3rd-round pick. Give us a 3rd-round pick. And that's where I would stand, and they would probably fight it. No, and maybe we'd have to settle for a 4th. All right, maybe. But also, do we really want to do that before week 1? When we have to play them week 1? Like, maybe we make that trade after week 1, just in case. Yeah, we'll give them to you for a 4th, but it's going to be week 2 we'll make the trade. Something like that. Walter Bonsack is here. Good to see Walter Bonsack. Jojo says, keep Lazard. Yeah, why are we going to just give away a guy? Why? We can use him. We don't have a strong wide receiver room. We can use him to block. He's only making $2 million now. He reduced his salary all the way down to $2 million. That's a El Cheapo category. And besides, if maybe we keep him to the trade deadline. Maybe Pittsburgh's in it and we're not, and they get desperate at the trade deadline. And Rodgers is like, I need Lazard. Okay, 3rd-round pick. How about that? A little pickety pick. There's no reason to get rid of him now. I don't think, unless they want to be really aggressive. And then they say, well, we got to have him for training camp. We want to get him in here. All right, 3rd-round pick. A little highway robbery. I'm in the mood for a little highway robbery. How about that? Rodgers adds a little spice to the opener. Yeah, I think, Phil, I do think that MetLife Stadium is going to be jam-packed now with this revenge game. And, people will get excited to hopefully see Rodgers fail. So I do think from that aspect it'll be good. It'll be a little more juice than if it was Mason Rudolph. So we'll have to see. But I do think Jet fans will respond for sure to that one. Joe Mike with another question. When are the Jets? I don't know. They haven't. What can I tell you? I've told you over and over these past few weeks that I think they should. But how do I know what Muji's going to do? Are they waiting for the roster cuts? Yeah, I know. I know, Joe. We've been talking about this every week, Joe. I mean, I'm a little tired of it. I've been saying this from the jump when free agency started. We did not do well, especially at defensive tackle and defensive end. Wide receiver, I'm okay with. The wide receiver, I don't think we have glaring needs because we're not going to throw that much. And B, Josh Reynolds is better than people think. And C, we need those guys to block mostly. And the kind of routes we're going to run, they'll be fine running. So I don't think we're as thin. I mean, we're not going to have an explosive. We're not the greatest show on turf here, where you need all these wide receivers. You just need some decent role players, and we got those in the stable. So I'm not worried about wide receiver, but the other three, yeah, absolutely. And I don't understand it. I mean, Zadarius Smith is sitting right there. Jadeveon Clowney is sitting right there. Taven Bryan's sitting right there. Defensive tackles are getting hard to find, and we're just not doing anything. We got all this extra cap space. Now, the one thing I would say is maybe the crew wanted to get through OTAs and kind of put their eyes on everybody out on the field and see what they got and kind of evaluate things in real time, in real space on the grass. And maybe today or tomorrow we'll get a signing because they realize we really can't get along with Rashad Weaver as defensive end 4 and Michael Clemens as defensive end 3. That's not going to work. But, time's running out. We got mandatory minicamp next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then everybody's off until training camp, which is late July. So guys can technically miss mandatory minicamp, especially on defense. Not a big deal if we sign people after that. But you would think you'd want them in here for that. Give them a playbook. Get them on get people situated. But we're so far standing pat, and I don't like it. I've said from the jump, Joe. You've heard me. As it was happening, there's a live stream I did saying Darren Muji is making terrible moves in free agency, and I explained the whole thing. So that was months and months ago. I've been saying this. I'm getting a little tired of saying it because it's like so obvious, and we're not making any moves. There's players out there that can improve this roster. We have the cap space. Why are we not signing them? I don't get it. We have like the 5th or 6th or something most cap space in the whole league right now. It's post June 1st. Because of Rodgers and Adams, we got some extra. Room. So there's no real reason why we can't sign people. Safety. Who's going to be our strong safety? Exactly. Tell me in the chat who you think our strong safety is on this team. Who's the strong safety? Exactly right now. Put it in the chat. We got a bunch of free safeties, which is okay. Cisco can kind of do both, but he's more of a kind of a ball hawk type. Who's going to play strong safety? We need to tackle people. Who's linebacker 3? Jamin Davis? I mean, we got some glaring holes here. Maybe LT3 takes a step. Okay, that's pretty risky. Fedarian Mathis going to be on this team? What are we doing? And I've been saying this as it was happening. I was telling you guys about it. So I don't know, Joe. I don't know what the plan is. This is the first year of this regime, so it's hard to know exactly what they're going to do. Now, on offense, we have some clues, and that's why, if you guys have noticed, my videos in the past few weeks have been all about the offense because we have some clues about what they're going to do on offense, so we can kind of figure it out. What they're going to do on defense, we don't know. We have no idea what they're going to do on defense. And based on the personnel we have, what we're going to do is get beat a lot. We're going to get killed on the run game. Unless we pick up a couple of guys. We need an edge setter or two, and we need more effective big fatties in the middle, not these tomato cans. So, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. We got the cap space. There are people who can improve the roster, and we're not signing them. So, I don't know. I'm hoping for something today, tomorrow, sometime. But I don't know, Joe. Other than wide receiver, I agree with you. BC Salami. Pittsburgh's front office seems smart. Really? Kenny Pickett in the first round. Ding. Really, Russell Wilson. Let's bring in Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. Ding. Let's neglect the offense. Let's trade George Pickens for some reason. I mean, what have they done, PC? They've had winning seasons, yes. Okay. Give me T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick. I get some winning seasons myself. But they really haven't been a Super Bowl contender for a long, long time since Roethlisberger retired. So what's the plan at quarterback for them? Will Howard, a 6th-round pick? What's the plan? Exactly. Rodgers for a year, and then what? Mason Rudolph? I mean, these people, they're a well-run organization. They haven't had many head coach firings and all that, but they haven't been a serious Super Bowl contender since Ben Roethlisberger has retired. And what has been the plan at quarterback? Kenny Pickett? Everybody knew he wasn't worth a first-round pick. Baby hands in Pittsburgh? That's not going to work. You can't have baby hands. Do people understand the weather in Pittsburgh? It's terrible. You can't have a baby hands quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, sure, if you're always drafting defense, I mean, I could have drafted Derek Harmon. Yeah, he's a good player. Okay. You're getting more defensive line help when you already have a great defensive line? I mean, what's up with that? So, yeah, they've been stable. They don't fire their head coaches, and they've been winning, but they have not been a Super Bowl contender in a long time. And I don't think they are now either, even with Rodgers. Walter says, I hope they don't bring back. No, we're not bringing back Jamal Adams. Jojo says, defense needs help. Yeah. Now, this is something to watch because if we don't add anybody, because why are the coaches not like banging the table at Muji and saying, hey, we need more guys. We need more guys. Muj. And if they think that they can coach up these tomato cans to be good, and then we watch and they're not, then we have a problem, right? We have a problem, which is not an uncommon problem in the NFL, where coaches think that they can just coach up anybody. They overrate their coaching ability. Oh, yeah, just get me Derek Nottie, Jay Tufele. I can coach him up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo said goodbye to Derek Nottie, but I'll coach him up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm a great coach. I'm going to coach him right up. So we'll see. Now, on the other hand, what if the defense is great with these guys? Then maybe we do have great coaches. Let's look at the positive side. Hey, we got some great coaches. PC says, yeah, Muji's not doing what you would expect a GM. Right, exactly. What might one infer from that? Well, it's like I'm saying, PC, like maybe these coaches really think these guys can get it done. And maybe the scheme they run, which we don't know what it is yet, maybe they can. I don't know. We got to watch and see. But like I said, I don't think Muji's not acquiring players when the coaching staff is telling him we need players. Like AG and AG and the coaching staff must be telling him, if we don't sign anyone, well, we don't need him. I mean, Zadarius Smith played for Detroit. AG knows him. He played for AG. Right? He knows Zadarius Smith personally. So if we don't sign him, then we intentionally didn't sign him. We have the money. We can outbid anybody for him. So if we don't sign him, it means we didn't want him because we can give him the most money, and players pretty much have to take the most money because they have such short careers, except in certain situations, of course. But so we'll have to see. As I've been saying all offseason, I don't get it. I don't know why we haven't signed a true strong safety. I mean, Justin Simmons is out there, for God's sakes. He can do that. He's sort of a rock and roll safety, but there's a bunch of safeties still out there. There's a bunch of defensive ends still out there. There's a bunch of defensive tackles we could sign, and we're not signing them so far. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We got to see what happens, and we got to know what the coaching staff is going to do with these players, and we don't know that yet. It's year one. So we got to see. Joe Mike says McLaurin wants a new contract. Yeah, everybody says this, Joe, but and everybody knows this. We'll get him done. So Walter says they may be waiting for cuts. Would be a dumb strategy if they are. You don't know who's going to get cut. So if your strategy is they'll cut somebody and we'll pick them up, that would be a brain dead strategy because you have no idea who's going to get cut. Yeah, they're not gonna do that. They like Roman Wilson. Phil Adams. Yeah, so Mooj, I mean, obviously it's a collaboration. So when I say Mooj, I mean the regime, in general. That includes AG because AG has the power in this relationship. Obviously, he was hired first, had input on Mooji's hire. So technically, they have a three-headed monster now who reports to Woody. Basically Jaime for the business side. Good old Jaime. Muji and AG. So, technically they're all even and equal, and they all report up to Woody. But as we all know, AG has significant power in the dynamic, and he must have been promised that as part of his deal to come on to the staff. And so, yeah, AG has a hand in it, and so that's a part of it because AG is the one who has to say from a coaching perspective, here's what we have and here's what we still need. And if he thinks the roster is set and good, then we'll have to, maybe they'll play better than we think. And then we'll say, okay, yeah, they're right. Good. We got smart people here. But if we're giving up 150, 200 yards of rushing a game, which is what I would expect if there's no other personnel added, then it's going to be like, what are we doing here? Because if Frankie from Flatbush could tell you what's going to happen and then it happens, what good are these coaches? What are we doing? Like if I look at it and go, we're going to give up 150 to 200 yards a game with this personnel, and then that happens, that's not a good look for the Jets. If I can tell you what's happening and our coaches can't figure it out and our scouts and all, then that's not a good sign for the future. So we'll see. But what I'm hoping is maybe that doesn't happen. And maybe these guys, the way we're going to use them, we're gonna do great against the run. All right. One guy who has potential actually is Cowart. So Byron Cowart. You look at his tape and he has some traits that maybe with Quinnen getting double teamed a lot, maybe he can be better than we think. I really don't see it for Nadia and Tufele, but if the idea is, it's Quinnen and BC, Byron Cowart, and Cowart's, above average, and then behind them it's LT3 and Federian Mathis, actually, because they think Mathis can play and be DT4. Okay, you could squint your eyes. But what about defensive end? We're very thin there. So even if the best case scenario for your tackles, you still need somebody to set the edge. So, I don't know. We'll see. Harlan Abraham is here. Jets will be using a new system. Yeah, they sure will. That's what we got to really hope, Harlan. We got to hope that whatever defense we run, maybe these guys that we got are going to fit that system perfectly. Okay, I have a hard time believing that because no matter what system you run, if your defensive tackles are getting blown off the line, like Derek Nottie has been the last few years, he used to be good, but he kind of has gone downhill the last few years. It's hard to, at some point you have to win your matchup. And if you're just getting blown off the line, it doesn't matter what system you're running. You don't have the power. At some point, you have to have strength or speed in the NFL. But we'll see. Maybe they're gonna do two gapping. Maybe they're gonna do some two gapping out of a 4-down front. I don't know. Something crazy. Maybe we're gonna have an amoeba front. I don't know. None of our stupid beat writers will ask anybody real questions. So we have no idea what we're running. Maybe we're running an amoeba front. That'd be cool. I'm down with it. Let's, let's go. And so, okay, but we'll have to see. But we don't know, and nobody will ask. They want to ask stupid questions. They want to ask about Justin Fields 5 times a day. They ask everybody, every press conference, they ask AG about you. What about Justin Fields? You saw the last press conference he had. He got sick and tired of it. He's like, he told the reporter, hey, every time I'm up here, you guys are asking me about Justin Fields. I've already told you. And the lady was like, well, this is my first time here. It was Janae from SNY. It's like, okay, but how's that an excuse? Did you not hear the answers he gave the last time? Janae? You know what I mean? You have to ask the question. Like, what is somebody else asked the same question. He gave the answer. You're a reporter. You should know how he answered it last time. You're a Jet reporter on SNY. But her excuse was, yeah, but I haven't been here. I didn't get to ask you the Justin Fields question. Ooh, what about your quarterback, Justin Fields? So they want to ask those stupid questions, but they don't want to ask what's the defensive front going to look like? Coach Wilkes? Coach Glenn? What's it going to look like? You know what I mean? Are we having an amoeba front, 4-3 front, 3-4 front? What are we doing? Are we 1 gap and 2 gap and attack front, react front? What are we doing around here? But Harlan, maybe we're running an amoeba front. I would love that. That would be fantastic. Could be. Maybe. Could somebody ask Steve Wilkes? I mean, the other thing is Steve Wilkes, in addition to Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes is a very highly regarded defensive mind. I got a raw deal in San Francisco, in my opinion. He actually got a raw deal in 3 different places, in my opinion. Carolina, Arizona, and San Francisco. They scapegoated the guy for no reason. The guy had the number 3 defense in the NFL, went to the Super Bowl with it, and they fired him. What? In San Francisco. He had the number 3 overall defense. They will go to the Super Bowl, and then after the season's over, they fire Steve Wilkes. What? What the hell is that all about? So he's gotten a raw deal. So he's probably got a chip on his shoulder, and rightly so. But he's generally a well-regarded defensive mind, and so it's a little confusing at the moment as to why we're going to war with the crew we got here. So, but again, we don't know. Let's see what scheme he runs. Maybe it'll work. Let's hope so. Right now, I don't see it, but I haven't seen him on the grass, so, Hank G, maybe they're saving cap space. But you can only save so much cap space, Hank G. You can roll over some, but there's a cap floor in addition to a cap ceiling. So you have to spend at least 89% of the cap and on the average cap from the past 4 years. So there's only so much cap you can roll over. So I don't really think that's the case. It could be. Maybe that's what they're doing, saving cap space for next year. All right. Well, that kind of sucks. But it also flies in the face of what we were told, that we're trying to win now. So we were told, and the players were told, we're trying to win now. It's not a rebuild. And so saving cap space for next year would be a rebuilding strategy. And there's only so much you can carry over anyway. So I think we got to spend some of that no matter what. But I don't know the actual figures. You'd have to get like Jason from OTC or something to tell you if they can carry it over. But we have a lot. I think we actually have too much. I don't think we could carry it over. And I think we're not. We would probably be penalized. I don't know what the penalty is if you don't spend the minimum. But teams usually want to spend the minimum or get it up there because, I mean, why not? You kind of have to. There's a floor and a ceiling. So it could be that they're trying to be fiscally responsible for the next year, but you do have to spend a certain amount, and it's not going to cost you that much to get a Zadarius Smith. We have something like 36 mil in space or something like that, and Smith you could get for 7 or 8. So he's not going to break the bank, and you just make it a 1-year deal. It doesn't affect you next year. Jojo, kind of scary giving it for, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say scary, but AG was a very well-regarded coach. Remember, there were 7 openings this year, and he got an invitation to interview at all of them. So everybody wanted this guy. There was great demand for him. And so we got him, so that's great. But yeah, he is a first-timer. But we're the Jets. We always have first-timers, almost always. Saleh, first-timer. Rex, first-timer. Bowles, first-timer. Gase was the only one that wasn't. Even Herm Edwards, first-timer. Who else? Mangini, first-timer. And we always have a first-timer. We're the Jets. We're in the ghetto. What do you think you're going to get? You're not going to get Sean Payton or Mike Vrabel. I mean, we had a shot at Vrabel, but, of course, the Patriot job came open, and that ended that. But for the most part, I mean, we're the Jets, we're in the ghetto, and Woody Johnson is our freaking owner. What are you going to get? We should be very happy that we got Aaron Glenn, AG, my opinion. But at the same time, yeah, you don't know. But this is the way of the Jet. This is what happens when you're in the ghetto. When you're in the ghetto, JoJo, what do you expect? We're in the NFL ghetto. In the ghetto, where the baby cries and everybody dies in the ghetto. We're in the ghetto. And so to get somebody of AG's quality, even though he's a first-timer, yeah, I think it's pretty good. And we can talk about what AG and Muji have been doing. There are some positive developments. I don't know if you guys caught it this week. We'll see. Joe Mike says, I believe in Leonard Taylor III. Well, yeah, let's see. You can believe all you want, but guys, you got to see it with your eyes. Let's see it with our eyes, Joe Mike. Yeah, I'm hopeful for Leonard Taylor III as well, but we just don't know. It's hopeful time. Jojo says, well, I just hope it works out. Howie Roseman. I mean, well, first of all, I guess you could make him president or something. But why would Howie Roseman want to leave the Eagles? He's got the perfect situation. I mean, you would basically have to give Howie Roseman a piece of the team. You would have to sell him equity in the team to get him to move, basically. And why would Howie Roseman? He's got a perfect situation. Why is he going to move to this shithole? Woody Johnson's our owner. We play in New Jersey. We don't have a lot going on. We're in the ghetto. You basically would have to give him equity in the team for him to come here. And Woody Johnson has shown absolutely no inclination to give equity to anyone, which would help him get some cash on hand to help pay for people. To pay for Garrett and pay for these people with cashola that you have to put in escrow, by the way. If you give a big signing bonus that's going to be spread out, you got to put it in escrow. And so you got to have the money, you got to write the check, and then it goes in escrow. It goes away. You can't say, I'm going to keep it in these stocks, which is where Woody makes his money for the most part. And a lot of these teams, like you saw the 49ers, they sold a bunch of equity this offseason, and then they paid everybody. They paid Purdy, they paid Warner, they paid whoever else. They retained Juicebox. They paid all these people. And the way they did it is they sold equity in the 49ers. And they also have other properties. They also own a soccer team or two or something over there. And they give up the equity. They get the cash. And then they give it to the players. You're not seeing Woody do that at all. Woody's not giving up anything for some reason. So, welcome to the Jets. Where's all these business people when it comes to equity? It's such an advantage to give up a tiny percentage of the team and get cash in the bank. Straight cash, homie. Woody refuses to do it and then invest back into the team. Maybe he thinks he already has enough, but I don't know. I'm not seeing it. All right, so let's talk about what the Jets did right recently. They did do some correct things. this week. You may have seen it. You may have missed it. But the Jets did do some good things. Let's go over to X.com. Let's go over these few things. Neil Stratton right here. Sources, TJ McCreight will join the Jets front office in an unspecified executive role. We now know what that role is. McCreight is a veteran of 25 plus years in evaluation with the Colts, Ravens, Eagles, Cardinals. Latest solid addition, says Neil Stratton, to new GM Darren Muji's staff. So we signed TJ McCreight. He's going to be solid. Per his LinkedIn account, Thomas Whitty has been promoted to pro scout from player personnel assistant. Whitty, who interned with the Colts in 2019, joined New York in 2021. So that's something that I talked about on this channel a lot. We need to revamp our pro scouting department, and that's what we're doing. So this Thomas Whitty fellow, he got a promotion. He's one of our pro scouts. We needed to improve that greatly because I don't think that Joe Douglas always got the best advice when it came to pro scouts. Meaning scouting the other team's players in case we want to make a trade or they become available, they get cut, etc. And we also hired Jalen Morris as a pro scout, so adding to that, and Bird Sherrill, the Birdman, as a college scout. Now, here it is reporting from Frankie from Flatbush. You may have heard of him. The Jet, too long didn't read. The Jets hired a really smart dude. What are we talking about? We're talking about Sean Clement. The news was down here, per Seth Walter. The Jets hired Sean Clement into a director-level analytics role, per sources. Clement comes to the Jets from Sumer Sports and previously consulted with other teams. All right, but then I tell you the whole story. What about the rest of the story? At Sumer Sports, Sean Clement focused on optimizing roster construction for NFL and NCAA football teams using real-time machine learning, AI, and optimization platforms. Previously, Clement served as an analytics consultant for the Ravens, Dolphins, and Cincinnati Reds, where he developed player evaluation models, integrating tracking data, scouting grades, and external data sources to enhance player acquisition and development. You think we need enhanced player acquisition and development? I think so. So this guy just got hired in the last few weeks, so maybe going forward we will see better enhanced player acquisition and development. A retired U.S. Army veteran with 15 years of service, Clement served as a UH-60 Blackhawk pilot. Raise your hand if you've ever jumped out of a Blackhawk helicopter. Oh, just me? Okay. UH-60 Blackhawk pilot and Operations Research Systems Analyst with deployments in Europe and Afghanistan. He was named Analyst of the Year. Oh, he won some awards by both the Military Operations Research Society and the Army Operations Research Society, retiring medically in 2023. His military work included improving the efficiency of the Army's flight training program by 9% and leading research for $1.6 billion in Department of Defense contracts. Clement holds a bachelor's degree in operations research from the United States Military Academy at West Point. So he got a bachelor's from West Point. That's not easy. And a master's in computational mathematics and engineering from Stanford, one of the best universities in the entire world. He got a master's from them in computational mathematics and engineering. And not only that, his academic achievements include the Hollis Award for his thesis on ballistic missile interception algorithms adopted by the U.S. Space and Missile Command, and recognition as an outstanding winner in the 2009 COMAP Interdisciplinary Competition in Mathematics. This is a smart guy. He has contributed to sports analytics through publications, such as an article on coaching, scouting, and analytics for Sumer Sports, and appearances on platforms like the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference and the Athletic Football Show podcast. Clement also served as a technical advisor for the St. Albans School Sports Analytics Club and tutored mathematics for disadvantaged youth in the San Francisco Bay Area. So basically, We hired a frickin' genius. Now, why he wants to come to this shit show, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that we hired this guy, and look at all the things he did. Absolute genius. And look at the, he got tons and tons of kudos from the analytics community. Raise your hand if you know who Computer Cowboy is. Well, it says right here, Ben Baldwin. You know who Ben Baldwin is? Well, I do. And so if he's getting kudos from Ben Baldwin, that's good enough for me. Computer Cowboy, Ben Baldwin. Now, if you look what we're talking about, here's the staff here. Now, last week, let's go all the way down to the analytics department. They did update this somewhere. Here. Football analytics. Whoops. Now, as I said last week when we were talking about Arjun Menon, another great hire that we made. Right here, he's at the bottom. But he went from an intern to a full-time employee. And so that was great. And at that time I said, and I hope they add to the staff. And guess what they did? The very next week, they added Sean Clement, Director, Football Analytics and Strategy. So now they have a team of 5 full-time employees. They used to have 3 full-time employees plus the intern, which was Arjun. And now they got 5 full-time. So they're building this out, exactly what I said I wanted. So Muji's doing great here. And hopefully they can add 1 or 2 more interns and really build this out. On average, the NFL teams have an analytics staff at about 5 or 6. So we were slightly below average. Now we're right in the middle of how many people you need. And this is exciting because I said when the season ended, we need to look at everything. So here's the scouting department. The pro scouts are now getting rebuilt, as I said we needed. Thomas Whitty, Jalen Morris. Okay, these are new people for the pro scouting department. That's what I said we need to build out. And that's exactly what we're doing. Some people are getting promoted and so forth. And what else did I do? I said we needed a guy like Tim Grover who's going to be our sports psychologist person. And we hired Eric Corum, who's like a Tim Grover Jr., to be our director of player performance. So exactly what I said we should do and needed to do, seems like we're doing. And of course we have all new strength and conditioning on all these people. But Corum is a very big hire. This guy is also a freaking genius. He's invented applications and all kinds of things. So now we have some very smart people on staff. Now, is that going to translate into winning? I don't know, but you got to have these people. We basically completely remade our pro scouting department. We've somewhat made over some of our college scouting people. So basically, Muji getting his staff in order. And we buffed up our football analytics crew, which is very important these days, so forth and so on. So on that aspect, I am giving Muj an A+. I think we're making great strides in those areas, and so that's good. So one thing you could say about this offseason is, well, Muji didn't even have his staff in place, so how can you expect him and AG to really nail it 100% when they don't have their people in place? All right, we'll see. We'll see how they do on the field this year, and then I think next offseason is going to be a big one for Muj because he's getting all these people in place. He hired 3. I am aware of 3 of these people being extremely, extremely well regarded. And so, by next off season, if we don't see like an amazing off season next year, really smart acquisitions, then you got to really worry. But one thing you could say this year is, hey, he didn't even have his staff, so they did okay in free agency. Fields, Sherwood, some nice signings. Cisco, Smart. And they did okay in the draft. First 3 rounds, good. Arian Smith gives you something that's hard to find, extreme speed. After that, who knows? But they didn't do terrible. So, okay. And then maybe next year we're going to really see what they can do because they'll have all their people. So, yeah, so let's go back and see. Go back to some of these comments. Joe Mike, Amoeba front. Well, the Jets are definitely the most parasitic to our well-being. Yeah, well, maybe it'll be appropriate, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Brian Goldstein, I saw Joe Blewett found some love for Andrew Beck. Brian, how about looking at my channel? All these people steal from me. You know that, right, Brian? Look at my channel, The Sniffer. Anybody come up with The Sniffer, Brian, other than old Frankie? Yeah, all of a sudden, they're all talking about Andrew Beck after I put out my video. Is it any surprise, Brian? Now I'm happy they want to steal from me. Fine. You know, fuck them. At least we get a little bit of a more intelligent football talk that way. But how about a little love for old Frankie, Brian? How about that? How about that? Who else is telling you about The Sniffer, Brian? Anybody? Anybody doing that? Anybody doing that? Let's see. Yeah, Charles says, yeah, this man has he is very well regarded by all of the analytics nerds. Ben Baldwin, in case you don't know, is one of the godfathers. Like some of the giants in the analytics field are like Ben Baldwin, Eric Eager, Aaron Schatz, are some of the big names. And all of them came through and said, wow, Jets made a great hire with Sean Clement. All of them. So that tells you something. And they were all also very complimentary of Arjun getting a full-time gig. They all came through and said, wow, great for Arjun. That's great for the Jets. So that's very encouraging. Hank G. Jets are finally playing Moneyball. I don't know what they're doing yet, to be honest with you. But certainly we don't want to splurge on players unnecessarily, that's for sure. And you want to find value. So, Hank G., if they were really playing Moneyball, here's what they would have done, as I've explained. So I don't want them to splurge on players unnecessarily, certainly not. Le'Veon Bell and even the C.J. Mosley contract. I love C.J. Mosley, but the contract was no good. And splurging on those type of guys is not what you want to do. But, for example, a smarter thing to do with $12 million, instead of giving it to Brandon Stevens, you could have taken the same $12 million and split it up amongst the tight end Tyler Conklin, and the defensive tackle from the Lions, Levon Onwuzurike, and Brandon Eccles. You could have taken the same $12 million, improved 3 areas of the team, still drafted A.Z. Thomas, who could have now probably been projected as the starter, and now you have a much better team with the same $12 million in cap space spent. So it's not that I want them to splurge on free agents that are not worth the amount of money we're giving them, certainly not. But you can still be smart and tactical with your dollars, which I don't think the Brandon Stevens signing was, especially considering that signing and the amount that it was cost us a comp pick. So right now we're going to get 2 comp picks. We could have gotten 3. And so you could have improved the team in 3 areas while getting an extra comp pick for the same amount of money as you're giving Brandon Stevens. Now, if Brandon Stevens is really good and maybe this staff can get the most out of him, then okay, great. You know, we got a really good cornerback to go opposite sauce. All right. I would have liked to seen that money spent, differently, especially considering we're supposed to be trying to stockpile comp picks, which is a great strategy also. It's just free picks that the NFL gives you. But doing it my way would have given us an extra comp pick as well. So when you play Moneyball, you got to be smart with your money. Giving $12 million to a guy who can't get his head around in coverage is probably not a good Moneyball or any ball kind of signing. But like I said, if they can fix him and if they can fix that problem that he has, because he does have traits and qualities that you do like, then it's worth it. But if not, then it's not worth it. So, no, JoJo, nope. They had a slightly below average. So the average is about 4 or 5 guys. So they had 3 plus our June was an intern. So they didn't have one of the smallest. They had slightly below average. So like I said, I wanted to see it buffed up, and that's exactly what they're doing. And I'd like to see them get 2 more interns in there also. Get a 7-person team in there. Interns don't cost a lot from looking at it from a management point of view. And they give a lot of value because they're just young kids, working their way up. So they don't care. They'll work 25 hours a day for you. They're trying to make a name for themselves. And so there's really no reason why now we shouldn't hire 2 or 3 additional interns, for the amount of projects we're going to have. And I would hope that we're going to have a lot more. I think this was an area Joe Douglas was okay in, but seems like Muji's really stepping into it, and that's really good news. Charles says, so now that we have all these smart people on staff, who's going to explain all the smart stuff to Woody so he understands? I wish I could solve this puzzle of Woody Johnson and some of the things he does. Yes, he's a Nepo baby. I mean, the perfect corollary for him is the owner of the Knicks, right? Both Nepo babies, both have been meddlesome owners in sports teams, but it seems like what's his name with the Knicks has figured it out, where you just let the GM do what he wants, right? Leon Rose, and Leon Rose just fired Tom Thibodeau. Now, whether that's going to be good or bad, we got to find out. But the Knicks just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They didn't play well in the finals, but they did go all the way there. And then they fired Tom Thibodeau. But it seems to me that James Dolan has learned to keep his hands off, and his role is really just support. And then on the business side, do fun things on the business side, like giving away basketballs to some of the kids, outside of Madison Square Garden and stuff like that. Cool stuff like that. And that's what you do as the owner. You don't get involved in the nitty gritty of should we add this person or that person. You let the GM do his job, and the coach as well. But Woody at times has done that, but then at times has gotten nervous and gets involved. I think he got nervous when he started seeing this Aaron Rodgers era falling apart. I think he started getting nervous and wasn't trusting Douglas and Saleh anymore, and he stepped in and made it worse, as we all know. But is Woody just like a big dum-dum who doesn't know anything? I mean, it's hard for me to believe that he is. But it's also possible that he is because he made his money in the stock market. Now, he took his inheritance, created a hedge fund, put a lot of money plus money from other people, other rich people, and created a hedge fund, and all the stocks went up, and that's how he got rich. Now, that's a lot different than building a business like an Arthur Blank did. Some of these owners did. Mr. Walton did. The Denver Broncos are owned by Walmart, by the way, one of the biggest cash cow businesses of all time, by the way. So they got so much cash they don't know what to do with it, which is different than having your money tied up in real estate or stocks and bonds, for example. So maybe Woody Johnson just made one great decision with regard to that hedge fund and where to put the money and all. And then he made another great decision buying the Jets, obviously, and that's not a cash cow business, but if he ever were to sell it, it's worth $6-7 billion at least. And then of course partnering with the Giants on the stadium, and the stadium is its own separate entity. It's one of the most highest grossing venues in the entire world. But that's a lot of good business decisions if you look at it from Woody's point of view. Hey, look at me. Every business decision I make is great. But, some of this other stuff is ridiculous that he does. So I don't know, man. And nobody knows this Woody guy. Like, I think Woody does like Robert Kraft. You see Robert Kraft all the time, the owner of the Patriots. Like Robert Kraft is all over the place. He's doing media hits. He's doing little events. He's doing, honoring this and honoring that, and you get a feeling that Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft also built a real business. Speaking of that, but Woody does not. Woody doesn't like who. We don't know Woody. Does anybody know Woody Johnson? What is he about? Is he really sharp or not? I mean, people generally just don't like him. He's not a personable guy. And Christopher Johnson's better that way from all that we know. For example, Aaron Rodgers says Christopher Johnson's going to be his friend for life, which is really saying something, considering the mercurial nature of Aaron Rodgers. But he didn't have the same kind of friendship with Woody. And so we know Woody's not really personable. He doesn't really do a lot of media. We don't know enough about the guy. And sometimes he's hands off. In the beginning of a regime, he's usually hands off. So we got probably 1 or 2 years of hands off Woody. So that's good. But then when he starts to panic, it gets bad. And, from his investing career, he should know that panicking is never a good strategy for long-term growth. But he panics, and then he makes all the wrong moves, and we all know what happens. So I don't know, Charles. It's frustrating because he's the owner. He's the one guy you can't change out if he doesn't want to. BC Salami, I did not jump out of a Blackhawk, but I did jump out of a moving taxi in Beijing to chase down a Chinese hooker who was trying to rob me. Everyone in chat who's done that, raise your hand. Well, PC, I would say, first of all, why are you cavorting with hookers? What's going on there? Okay. Don't you know what you can end up in the clinic, that clinic? You don't want to end up in that clinic, PC. What are you doing cavorting with hookers? That's not good, PC. What are we doing? And second of all, rob you. Why did you let her rob you? Where was your self-defense skills? Where were your, self-awareness, situational awareness? Where was your situational awareness, PC? I think your situational awareness was lacking. I think you were cavorting with a hooker, which is never good. I mean, hookers are not exactly upstanding citizens. Chinese or not. Then she's Chinese on top of that. We all know, a lot of Chinese people are, associated with the CCP. You know me. We don't want to know the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. That's not good. So you got a lot going wrong in this statement here, PC. You're cavorting with hookers. That's not good. They're not the most upstanding citizens out there. Second of all, you let this woman... I assume she's a woman. You say hooker. I assume that's a woman. Could be a man, I guess. You let her rob you. So your situational awareness was lacking. Something was going on where you let a woman rob you. Maybe she had a gun. We don't know in this statement here. And then third of all, you're running around trying to chase her down. That's not going to work. What if she runs to her handlers? They're going to be very large men, probably with automatic weapons, PC. You're going to run, you're going to turn around a corner. I mean, we've all seen this in the movies. You're going to run, you're going to turn around the corner, and there's going to be 7-foot-tall Chinese guys with automatic weapons. What are you going to do then? So it seems like you didn't have a plan. You were cavorting with individuals who are not exactly the most, stand-up people in the world. Then you didn't, you weren't self-aware enough to prevent the robbery in the first place. PC, you got a lot going wrong here, buddy. I mean, let's get our lives together. Let's figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? There's a lot wrong in here. I got news for you, PC. This is not good. You gotta get your life together, buddy. You keep doing this, you're gonna run into trouble. Everybody knows. Dealing with the underground world, you're gonna be messing with underground people. Is that really what you want to get involved with? The underground, the criminal underground? In China? Or some other place in Asia? You know, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, Harlan, this is the way it goes, man. Just watch. I'm going to watch my next video. I haven't been able to do too many videos. I still got this audiobook project that's taken forever. I'm still working on it. But my next video will come out. Just watch the timestamps. Just watch the dates on the videos. I'm going to come out with a video, and then there'll be 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 videos by other people who get way more views than I do, by the way. Basically, we'll take the exact same thing I say and basically do a video and then get 5 times the views. Yeah, that's the way it goes around here. That's the way it goes around here. Oh, BC says, all right, there's more to the story. Yes, it was a woman. All right, well, even so, I mean, first of all, let me tell you something about women. Women make great spies, if you don't know already. The best spies in the world are women. Why is that? Because men are stupid. And we inherently trust women because if you think about it, from the time we're little kids, little toddlers, who are we mostly interacting with? Our moms, right? So we just kind of like inherently start trusting, women because of that. Ever since we were little toddlers, our moms took care of us, right? So women make the best spies out there. They don't want you to know that. I'm not saying she was a spy, but just as a little aside, just as another piece of this, another reason you shouldn't be cavorting with the criminal underground, PC. Infrared says, never ever pay for a piece of tail. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it in the modern day. Back in the day, there weren't a lot of options. You got a lot of options these days. I mean, there's free porn on the internet, on your phone, anytime you want it. You know what I mean? You got to go pay for a little something. You got free porn anytime you want it. Phil Adams says, Frankie coaching life skills. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, it's the off season. We don't got too much to talk about. So, hey, Coach Frankie can coach you on life skills. I'll give you my opinions. I'm the type, for me, some of the best advice is like, always in cash, never in writing. Always in cash, never in writing. Keep that in mind. That'll do you well. That's a good piece of advice. Also, here's another good piece of life advice. Any room that you walk into, if you don't immediately know who the mark is, you are the mark. Keep that one in mind. Keep that one in mind. Phil Adams, Tom Cruise is a great spy, and he's not. Oh, but there are some men who are great spies also. Don't get me wrong. There can be great spies of all types. But women are just inherently really good at it. I mean, they need training too, don't get me wrong. But women kind of have an advantage, especially if the mark is a man. Now, if the mark is a woman, maybe not so good. But if the mark is a man, a woman can get the job done. Just because men are just so stupid, especially if they're good-looking women. You know how it goes. It's called the halo effect, right? It's a psychological bias. You see a good-looking woman, you think you put a psychological halo on them, and it's like anything they say or do must be true or good. They must be good people. They must be good cooks. They must be good at everything. They're it's called the halo effect. So yeah, no, there are good spies that are men as well, but you got to be careful out there, man. You got to be careful out there. Tony Alexio says, hey, that's good coaching right there. Good counseling, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like in the old days, going to a lady of the night, sometimes it was necessary. You couldn't get some on your own. There was no pornography at that time. you're feeling a certain kind of way, all right, you go to one of these places. But these days, I don't see it. I don't see it, man. Infrared says, I don't even have to go to church today. Frankie gives excellent advice. The old Church of Frankie. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's the way it goes, man. Jojo says, Frankie facts. Yeah, sometimes we got to give life facts. All right, so let me know if you guys have any specific questions. We went over a few things today. Let me just check X to see, if there's any anything happening now. I mean, Rich Samini doesn't even have a column out today. Usually Samini has a Sunday column. He has no column. He's got nothing. There's nothing going on. I mean, Darren Mucci building out his staff and all this, that's nice and good, but it's not exactly going to move the needle for news. Here's one thing. Well, let's take a look at this. This is kind of funny. Next year, we probably are going to need a defensive tackle, right? So check this out. Check this out. Next year in the draft, so this is Rock Boys football. So this is somebody's ranking of all the best interior defensive linemen for next year. And look at number 10. So these are all guys we could be looking to draft next year, but look at number 10. Don Corleone. Would this guy be good for us or what? What? I mean, Dante Corleone playing for Cincinnati, 10th best interior defensive lineman according to this list. Who knows if the list is correct, but just to give an idea, these are some guys that, we'll keep an eye on during the season. But Cincinnati has a player named Don Corleone. The Don, the Godfather. Would we want to have the Godfather? I mean, this guy's nickname has got to be the Godfather, right? Don Corleone? I mean, come on. It's perfect. We got to get this guy. We got to get this guy. We got to have the Godfather on our defense, man. We got to. Got to get him. We got to get him. My opinion. I say we get the Godfather. What do you guys say? What do you guys say? So that was pretty funny. But these are some of the guys that we're going to need to keep an eye on. Peter Woods, I think, is the one that everybody says is, is, I think, number one or top of the list. Some guys we need to look at. Somebody wants a quarterback list. You don't know who the best quarterbacks are? Jojo? Trying to see if I have one available. Hang on. Thought I did. Don't I have one? Hang on a second. Oh, yeah. All right. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Here's basically here's a good list. Right, yeah. So these are the guys we should be at least keeping an eye on. And this is from Ari Wasserman, who's from On3. So this is a good source. This guy knows what he's talking about. They talk about college football every single day and are pretty much experts. DJ Lagway in Florida, keep an eye on him. He does have currently an injury that they're keeping an eye on. Lenoris Sellers is personally my favorite. He's number 2, South Carolina. Then you got Arch Manning in Texas. All eyes are going to be on the Arch. Then you got John Mateer in over there at OU, and he's transferred in, so keep an eye on him. He's a dual threat guy. Cade Klubnik at Clemson. Sam Levitt, Arizona. Garrett Nussmeier, at LSU, Haynes King, Georgia Tech, Drew Aller over at Penn State, and then Nico, I'm gonna leave you. This is listed here at Tennessee, but of course he transferred out and now he's at UCLA, I believe. But here's a pretty good list of the QBs to keep an eye on as we get started with college football in a couple of months. My personal favorite, Lenora Sellers at the moment. Lagway, but they're all nine. The top 9 here are guys to keep an eye on. So there are going to be a lot of good quarterbacks, and this is a partial list. Of course, there's more than this too. So there's going to be a lot of guys to keep an eye on. I'm actually thinking about doing some watch parties for some college games on Saturdays because there's just going to be a lot of guys we want to keep an eye on for the draft. Obviously the Jets are not going to be competing for the Super Bowl this year, so the draft is going to be very, very important for us next year. We may want one of these quarterbacks, we may not, depending on what Justin does. But nonetheless, we should keep an eye on them. And this is a pretty good list. So can't see top of the list, somebody says. Rayshawn Benny? I don't know who that is. But yeah, some of these guys may not come out. Like Arch Manning might not come out. Lenora Sellers depends on how good of a year he has. Some of these guys are definitely coming out, though. Like Cade, I think, is definitely coming out. Nussmeier's definitely coming out. I think Levitt's definitely coming out, and Aller is coming out. I don't think Aller has any more. I could be wrong, but I don't think he has eligibility left. But basically, Aller, Nussmeier, Klubnik should certainly come out. Lagway could go back. Sellers could go back. Manning could go back. Mateer, I think he could go back. But if he has a big season, he'll probably come out. And then Levitt will probably come out. Haynes King, I'm not sure. But yeah, those are some guys we should definitely watch. And I might do some watch parties on Saturdays for some of these college games. I mean, some of these college games are just going to be exciting, really good games. I mean, you don't forget, you got Bill Belichick now in college. So, those games are kind of must watch to see what he's going to do at UNC. And obviously we'll be rooting against him. But it'll be interesting to see if he fields a decent team. Let's refresh this. And so the Jet beat writers are doing absolutely nothing. Sumini doesn't come out with a column. Rosenblatt, no columns. Nobody's doing anything, really. The national writers, let's see if there's any news breaking. Nope. Aaron Rodgers can become one of 5 quarterbacks to beat all 32 teams with a win over the Packers in Week 8. Exciting. Exciting times in football. So it doesn't seem to be any breaking news on this Sunday, so let's see what you guys think. Would you sign a player, or would you consider letting our cap space roll over? Well, we discussed this earlier, Infrared. There's only so much cap space that you can roll over. You can't roll over too much. You got to spend 89% of the cap averaged over the last 4 years. But I've been saying this all along, Infrared. I would sign 2 or 3 players. We need help at edge. We need help at defensive tackle and safety. And I would sign 3 players: Zadarius Smith, Taven Bryan, and one of the available safeties. That's what I would do. So we'll have some cap to roll over, but you can't roll over that much. You can only roll over a little bit, and I think we actually have too much, but I'm not sure. New England has 125. Well, not currently. They did at the beginning of this year. I think they're still number 1 though in space. That's another reason. I mean, there's other teams that might sign these guys. Let's sign them. Let's get them. Harlan says Haynes King will be a senior. All right, so he's probably coming out then. All right, so let me know if you have any other issues, concerns, questions, comments, anything you want to know about as we wrap up on this Sunday, June the 8th. I got to get back to my audiobook project, and you guys got to get back to whatever it is you do on a Sunday. But let me know if there's any other further questions. There might be a video this week on the channel. There might not. If there is, of course, I think it'll be fun for you to watch. I'll put out the video and then watch how many people steal the content and put out videos exactly the same, but get 5 times, 10 times the views. That was a fun little game. We should have a hashtag called Frankie already said this. Frankie did this already. Hashtag, put it in the comments. Frankie did this already. You stole this from Frankie. But of course, there's no way to prevent it either. So it looks like Harlan is a Haynes King fan. 6'3", 216, currently 12. So an older guy. Yeah, I mean, let's see how the season plays out. You know, what happens is, you know, certain guys skyrocket and have great seasons and open some eyes. Other guys, you know, they fall away and aren't as big a deal as people thought in the beginning of the year. So let's watch them all, Harlan. Let's keep an eye on everybody. You know, maybe, I mean, ultimately, you know, what would be the best scenario would be Justin Fields balls out and we give him a big contract. But then, like in the second or third round in a deep quarterback class, we get, you know, one of those guys in the next tier that's maybe a really good quarterback. We sit him behind Justin, and then we kind of have the best of both worlds. We have the veteran, we have the young guy, just in case, and we go from there. Harlan says, congrats on getting, thank you. Yes, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, in which case we can further monetize the channel and produce even more content for you and for people to steal, for you to watch and people to steal. If we get enough subscribers, actually, and members, I know there's also a membership you could join as well if you want to. But if we had enough members, we could just do videos for the members. That would keep people from stealing it. But we got to get the numbers up. So, yeah, if you appreciate this differentiated content that I do, also going to get a green screen. That should be coming today. And then you won't have to see this crap behind me. And we could do have some fun with green screen. And maybe that'll look nice. We can put some background images up and not have it be all flashy and weird. So we'll see how that does. We're getting that today. Yeah, it would be great if we had the veteran and then we had, you know, since this is a deep quarterback class, maybe some of these guys might slip and maybe we get a high quality one in the second or third round. Second round, probably got to do. And then you get the best of both worlds. You get a first round talent, you know, at a position of need. We're probably going to be defensive tackle next year, I would think, or defensive end or something. There's also a kid on Ohio State, by the way, who's a safety who's going to be a top 5 pick, Downs. So they're projecting him right now. And remember, Kyle Hamilton was thought to be the greatest safety of all time, and he went like 11th or 12th. But they're projecting this Downs kid on Ohio State at safety to be a top 5 pick. So that's another one to watch. I mean, it's always good to watch Ohio State, Michigan, you know, the big teams, LSU, Alabama, you know, Georgia, and so forth. All right, see you, Salami. Stop cavorting with those hookers, man. I'm telling you, bro. Yeah, that's the idea, Harlan. It's coming today. And we'll see how it works out. Hopefully the camera, everything works. You know, when it comes to Frankie, there's usually problems, technical problems, but we'll have to see how it plays out. All right, so I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, maybe there'll be a video this week. Maybe if not, then next week. But otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for joining. If you're new, please subscribe. At least give a thumbs up on your way out. I'd appreciate it.